I'm Bayne Northern from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and I'll be reading In Darkness Lost, that is from the Gravelight Press anthology, EXHUMED. In Darkness Lost. Sammy, I'm afraid. How did we get here? Sean was quivering, shaking with fear. Sammy pulled his brother toward him, hugging him tightly against his barrel-shaped body. I don't know how we got in here, but we will figure out how to get out, he promised, trying to make his voice sound confident. Sammy was the older of the two. He felt responsible for his little brother. Sammy could hear his mother's voice reverberating in his head, telling him to watch his little brother while she quickly scampered towards the ocean, her legs sinking into the wet sand, anchoring her as a big wave crested and broke, the foam rolling up the steep shoreline. It's dark in here, Sean began sobbing. Don't be afraid. Let's treat it like an adventure. Let's try to figure out where we are. Even though we can't see anything, we can still feel things. Tell me what you feel. Sean pushed himself out of Sammy's grasp. Well, it's sandy and wet, just like where we were before. Excellent. Keep up the good work. Sammy encouraged his little brother while he tried to orient himself. It's a lot wetter than where we were before and a lot darker. I can't see a ray of sunlight. I just bumped into something hard. Hard? Yeah, like a wall. It's cool to the touch. Sean placed his body against the damp exterior, feeling around for some kind of opening, a possible way out. He followed the hard surface, cautiously creeping step by step, reaching up as high as he could go, and then down into the wetness below. But he couldn't find any gap in the enclosure. The shell-like facade surrounded them. Suddenly, a big gush of water poured into the wet and sandy space, carrying little bits of seashells and pebbles, almost drowning both of them. I think I see something red in here. I'm scared. Did we get swallowed by a whale? Sean's voice rose to a high crescendo. Are we going to die, Sammy? Inside a fish? Mommy will never find us. Sean's little rotund body began to shake violently as he sobbed. Small bubbles appeared around his mouth each time he exhaled. I don't think we're inside a big fish. Together we'll find our way out. We are big and brave, brothers like no other. Their familiar war cry. They always chanted it when they competed in a sport, usually swim meets. Sammy excelled at the freestyle crawl. Sean usually won the breaststroke. Brothers like no other, from the same mother, Sean yelled from the other side. That made Sammy laugh. He loved his little brother. They were truly bonded to one another. They looked alike, both sporting rounded bellies, shorter than most of their friends and all of the girls, but both agile swimmers, excellent sandcastle builders, and adept at burrowing in the sand and burying one another within minutes. Suddenly, their dark, damp, sandy environment began to move. The whole area began to shake. Water swished from side to side. Sammy and Sean were pummeled by sharp seashells and small, smooth rocks. Strands of seaweed began to wrap around their legs, making it difficult to walk. Sammy pulled off the sticky green strands and quickly scrambled toward Sean, grabbing and holding him tight. His little brother started to wail. Whatever chamber they were in seemed to be swinging, first high to the right, then down low, and up again high to the left. The motion was making both of them nauseous. The lack of sight made them more susceptible to feeling movement. Then the motion abruptly stopped. The water sloshed from side to side and then slowly settled down. More water was puddling on the right side, which made Sammy think they were situated on the side of the hill. Unexpectedly, Sean and Sammy began tumbling around and around, their environment spinning and turning upside down. The force of the water and sand poured from the bottom to the top, separating them. They could hear each other gurgling and gasping for air as they somersaulted in circles. And just as abruptly as it started, the chaos stopped. They poked their heads out of the watery, sandy mound. The brothers grabbed each other in delight, wrapping their 5 sets of legs around each other and squeezing tight. Their rounded exoskeletons clicked like castanets as they rolled back and forth in joy. their feathery antennae intertwined, their club-shaped eye stalks simultaneously rotated 360 degrees, first in one direction and then the other, happily scanning the familiar scene. They were back home, on the beach. They saw their mother frantically scurrying toward them. They both skittered backward to reach her. Sammy and Sean looked up at the sky and saw a boy towering above them, running up from the ocean's edge, wildly swinging a bright red plastic bucket from side to side. Further up the beach, the boy's father stood waving his arms. "Come on, son, hurry up. We're going to grab a burger at Opie's for lunch." When his son reached him, he fondly tousled his hair while he proudly praised him. "You're a good boy for letting your 2 sand crabs go." The shadow briefly covered Sammy and Sean as they watched the boy run away. Without warning, they both felt a sharp pinch, followed by the wind as it whipped through their antenna. Their 5 sets of legs were pinned against their exoskeletons. They were bewildered. They looked down and saw the ocean beneath them, the waves cresting and crashing onto shore. At the exact same moment, the sand crabs felt a sharp, shooting pain as their back shells cracked wide open. The seagull raised his beak up towards the sky, opened it wide, and gulped Sammy and Sean into its gullet. Thank you for listening.